gonna eat on my frog spit.
Oh, I like it. Give it to me.
What are you eating?
Frog spit.
I call it frog spit.
Oh, that's real nice.
I'm not thinking about meringue. I like the lemon pie.
I like it. Eat it right with the lemons.
Yes, eat it with the lemon. That's what I do. Nothing on the lemon pie. I like it plain.
I like it.
You're going to be going up to Maine?
No. Not that I know of. I'd like to. I'd like to go once more.
Oh, we never will.
Now, would you take the same trip when you came down here the first time, or?
Mary always took me back the old way with.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but not the real old way.
No.
No.
Those roads were probably all closed.
Oh, those are
They
gone.
used to travel and take them 2 days, you know.
It always took us 2 days.
Back in 1923.
When the first time you came down, did it take 2 days to get here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I said when I went home.
They had no Model T. No, they come home in
Overland.
because Grandpa, great,
Well, Lasher had
that's my grandfather.
Overland.
He had an Overland then.
Well, who came up to get you? When
And he
they
went
came
to the
up-
wedding.
When they came up
the
to Maine,
grandparents.
who came up?
Just his father and mother.
Oh, his father.
They came to the wedding.
him.
And they rode back with them.
And I'll tell you something else, Bruce. Leland had to be in my state 7 days before we could get married. That's a law up there.
Oh.
So they didn't have any of these, what they call them, gin mill
Oh,
marriages.
is that
or
right? You had to
something?
be in a state
Right,
for
yep.
7 days.
Well, how did he sign in? Who did he sign in
Well,
with?
but the minute he
stayed in the
came,
village with somebody.
we went right up to
Oh,
the
so there
village.
was a record that he was there for 7 days?
Oh, yes, you write it down.
Oh.
I went to get the marriage license, and of course, Mark didn't ask any questions. He did ask how old I was, because I grew up with him. And he turned around to my husband and he said, we've been married before, because that's the gossip that was around when I was going with him. And he says, no, I've never been married before.
They ask you that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They still do today.
Oh, well, they do. Oh, yeah, well, they probably, see, he didn't meet because he knew me, you know. Oh, and the going was terrible. So rough.
What time of the year was that?
August.
23 and 25 and 26 in August.
Oh, well, there wasn't too bad traveling then.
Yes, the roads were rough.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Muddy?
Yes,
Yeah.
it rained, and this overland had side curtains, and a shower come up, and you wouldn't put the side curtains on until it was ready to pour, and then they got wet while he was putting it on, and then you couldn't see anything when you got the side curtains on. But that car was so big that 2 or 3 could ride in the back seat in my hope chest right by their feet. That's how big the car was.
Ain't like our cheese boxes today, right?
No, that's right.
And never, you know, it was always running the overland. You never had to have anything done to it.
Where'd you spend the night when you came down here? How far did you get the first night?
Oh, first night. That's quite funny. They didn't want to stay to a hotel. Why, I don't know. So we stopped to this farmhouse. The father could speak English, the mother couldn't. And we stayed at this place overnight. They said yes, and he slept with a gun under his bed because he didn't know who we were.
Whereabouts were you?
Manchester, Massachusetts.
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Didn't get too far to be.
But they let you spend the night, huh?
Yep. I don't know, they might have given him a little money. And they said we could have breakfast. We said no, we'd go to a hotel.
See, this was just like a bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
Way back in
First
23.
bed and breakfast.
They didn't have a shingle out though.
No.
I wouldn't know whose house to stop to and ask if I
Right.
could stay overnight.
Well, I was getting tired, Bruce.
Today you'd be leery.
You wouldn't do it
You wouldn't
today,
do it
would you?
today.
Years ago, my God, how many homes used to have tourist signs out.
Right.
Yes, my aunt did.
Years ago they all took tourists.
Yeah.
I don't know, they wasn't afraid of
But
anybody.
that's sort of coming back. That's what I call now
The
the
bed
bed
and
and
Yeah,
breakfast
breakfast.
same
now,
thing.
same thing.
Yeah.
You know what, like
Yeah.
what they had years ago, they
Right.
called it tourists. But then you didn't have, because now you got to have, I suppose, all these licenses.
Oh.
to
They
do
might
it.
have been used to people breaking down too and asking to stay
Right,
over.
could be.
Oh,
too.
yes.
Yeah.
My folks were taking anybody that broke down.
Yeah.
I can remember when I was a little girl, I used to spend, you know, a few days there with Grandma and Grandpa. These beggars would walk
Oh,
the
yeah,
road,
the
would knock on the
hobos.
door and ask for a sandwich.
Oh, yes, I had that.
She'd fix them a
She'd
sandwich.
fix them a bowl of soup and a sandwich. They'd sit down on the back porch and eat it, and away they'd go.
Never bothered you or anything.
No.
Oh, no. Hobos.
I can see them
And
yet
it was,
come here.
I know I was a young girl. One was walking one time there in Maine. And he stopped to get a drink, but he wasn't a baker. Said he was traveling for some reason, but he didn't have an overnight bag or anything. And he couldn't pump because you only had one arm. And so we pumped the water for him, and my father says, we're going to sit down to dinner. And he said, why you go to eat? He says, I don't know. He said, come in, and we gave him dinner. Well dressed. Yeah, I was married in 1923, and then I came home.
Well, what did they think of Leland when he first came there?
They liked him.
They
It was
think
my
he was
father.
they think he was a beggar too? Or?
No, he was teaching school. Well, I don't know. They didn't like my going with him because he was out of state, and I should not be going with a stranger. That's my relatives. But this is quite funny. They brought they took my father to a ball game, and he was the only one around that had a car. So he said, I'm going to Etna. Anybody want to ride? Go to a ball game? My father piped up. He says, yes, I'd like to go with you. But in the meantime, he'd been to my house in the afternoon trying to sell me the maps.
That's what he was doing in Maine.
That's what he was doing.
Selling maps.
Road maps.
Yeah, just
And
for the
she was
summer
home
with
by
his
herself.
brother.
He came to the door.
I says, I cannot stand on this porch and talk to you all day. I said, I'm baking a cake in the house. And I left him sitting there. I was 16 years old.
That's the way to get him to come back.
And so how did he come back? When my
What's your name,
father
baby?
brought him back for supper that night, he says, you want something to eat at the ball game? My daughter will fix you something. Well, the minute he walked in the door, I says, I guess we met before, and I didn't know what his name was.
Well, how did they meet up? In town or something?
Yeah, town. See, he took my father to the ball game.
Oh, okay.
Because nobody had cars up there. There was no one.
Isn't she cute?
And it went 2 years before I ever laid eyes on him again.
That's Betsy.
That's Betsy
And
Betsy.
then he came back through again?
I got a telegram. I'll see you in the afternoon, 3 o'clock. And it was in 1923. No, it wasn't, because we were married in 23. That was 1922, must have been.
Good, he's not.
I came here visiting to meet my in-laws. That's when I got my diamond ring on my 19th birthday. And you had one of the worst snowstorms here you ever had.
And her mother came with her. She couldn't travel.
Oh, a girl didn't travel alone.
And then you went back again?
And I went back home, and he bought the place I'm on now in 1923.
Paid $5,000 for it. That was a lot of money then, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
$5,000.
There wasn't nothing on it, Bruce.
Nothing on it.
But a few trees.
Just 10 acres of land.
A little while.
But you could imagine a girl marrying somebody from New York, a total stranger. And when he was working, I didn't see much of him because he'd go by when he was going from house to house.
That was a lot of money back then, probably.
Yes, well, I think so. 10 acres, $5,000?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Well, my father, he thought was terrible. Because there was no building on it, nothing, not even a stick.
Who did you buy it from?
Stanford Hobart.
This was all one big place. He owned
Oh,
nail
We're nail it
too.
too.
Oh, okay.
The bungalow
where Jennings
and
is, all of this was all
the Jennings
our
is tenant houses.
Over?
all Sanford
The
Hover.
Hovers, right up into Foreman's.
That was in relation to Dow?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
You could say?
You want to know if the Sanford
Hover
Hover was relation to Dow Hover?
Oh, it could have been, distant.
Yeah. Probably came over on a boat together.
Yeah,
It could
yeah.
be, but not, close relation
Yeah.
that we know of.
No, but yes, not that I know
I
of.
don't remember him, do you?
Yes.
Sanford Hover?
Yeah, you don't remember her? Why, when they lived where Drennans live now? You don't remember? Kind of a little old lady, I can bet.
Oh, yeah, Ralph worked for her. I
Yes,
remember
he
her.
did.
Yeah,
Yes, just vaguely.
yeah.
Yeah, where Drennans are now, that's where they ended up.
She was from,
He went there to bail water out of the cellar
Yes.
when he was
Right.
10, 12
Yes.
years old, my brother.
where's Southern Pines? She's
North
from,
Carolina.
that's where she's from, Mrs. Hope. She was a lovely person.
He was a Germantown man?
Yes. Sanford Hobart's father owned the place, and Roman, I think his name was. Roman Hobart. He just died, though, man. The one we bought off. Sanford's father just died.
It was camera again.
Mary doesn't like that camera. All right,
Turn
man.
the switch on.
All right. Enough of the history.
He had money, the old man.
Keep going. I'm going to be in this history club. What was it like when you were little?
Well, it was a one-room school, and the seats were long, and you sat generally two in a seat. I went to school with my mother, and we had an hour's nooning, and in the wintertime we went out and played in the snow, rode downhill. And in the summertime we played ball with the boys, because the schools were quite small, and the boys and girls played together.
We had a wood stove.
That's nice.
And we had a wood stove.
Well, your grandfather did the same thing, too.
And so did your father. So, no.
Gee, you're right there.
Reg did. He went to the one where you play bingo.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, he did.
Was there like any tenant farmers?
And what'd you say?
Tenant farmers. No, they.
Oh no,
each
we
one
all
owned
owned our own home.
their own farm,
We
own
owned
big
our own
farms.
farm. Oh, they would
And
have.
very, very cold up there, so their barns were connected right to the house, so
Right
they
at the
didn't have to
house.
go outside. They had the dairy farms.
No, there's no such thing as a tenant. And you took the hired man in. He slept in your house and ate right to your table. The hired man
That's where all
was...
the jokes
Yeah,
came
because
from,
we're
right?
studying tenant farmers, patroons, and the Dutch.
She's studying about the patroons
Oh,
and the Dutch now.
that I can't tell you anything about the
Yeah.
Dutch. I am Scotch and Irish.
How long did you go to school during the day, Grandma Lasher? What time
From
did you-
8:30 till 3:30 at night. We get out at 3:30.
Whoa.
And we had to be in school at 8:30.
And they walk. How many miles do you have to walk?
3 miles
3 miles.
to school.
Every morning?
And
Come back
home
at
every
night.
Whoa.
And we'd pick our friends up as we walked along because our farms are far apart, you know.
Farm cop, you know.
And we used to walk with these girls and boys till we got to school. Of course, when I went to school with my mother, she drove the team. Or my father did, because they were both school teachers. And when I got out to go to school to my mother, my father took the team and only went to the next school, which was North Carmel, where he taught.
He taught school too. Her father.
And he was also superintendent of schools. I like going to school with my mother.
They were all dirt roads, weren't they? All dirt roads.
Oh, I guess they were.
Yeah, really. But
And
I
if
mean,
the,
No cars. They
no
had
cars. I can remember when the first cars come out. I'd run out to look and see what the cars looked like. Because we didn't have nobody had cars.
What year did you graduate
Yeah.
from high school, Grandma
I
Lasher?
didn't
She
finish
didn't
high
go to
school.
high school. She only,
We didn't have a high school in my town.
they had to go to Bangor.
Had to
10
go to
miles
Bangor.
away.
how far apart
They
were
didn't
the
have one here.
farms?
They had to go to Hudson.
Like, how far apart were the farms?
How far apart were your farms?
Well, right, we lived in the valley. There was Hands this way and Stevens the other. I would say our nearest neighbor was quarter of a mile.
You weren't really that far apart.
No, I don't get lost quite that
Well,
far.
it was. If she was the top of the hill and Hands was down
We
there,
were-
they
right.
weren't in the valley
We
then.
lived right in the valley.
No,
The farm had
no,
200
they lived
acres.
where just
And on it
Right,
was
right.
Mountain Laurel. And we were the only ones that had Mountain Laurel in the woods.
they had 90 acres of woodland.
Yeah,
All
90
pine trees and
And we burnt, the house had 3 fireplaces in it, and we burnt nothing but wood.
Did you ever, like, go out and get sap?
Oh,
We
yes, yes.
maple syrup.
hmm But we didn't make a business of it. But I have a girlfriend that her relatives made a business of it. And then when you do that, that has to go day and night.
Yeah. Was it like a dairy farm?
Yes,
or-
I was born and brought up on a dairy farm. We had sheep and chickens and cows.
Do you know how to weave all that wool?
Did
that
you
get
know how
off
to weave the
sheep?
wool?
No, I didn't, but I've seen them done. I've seen it done, but we didn't do it. When we would shear the lambs, the sheep rather, you sold it by the pound, and when you pull that wool off, it comes in a big sheet off the lamb, and that's chipped away. But Mama used to buy after that is put to the mill and made into yarn. Then my mother would buy it white, you know, after being what do you want to say? Skeins. And a skein is long like that, and then someone holds it when you want to make it into a ball. You
She
hold
made
it up.
mittens and stuff for the children. They didn't buy
And my mother
anything.
made all my mittens and stockings.
Stockings.
So, did you mainly wear sweaters and
We wore a sweater to school in the fall and the spring, and in the wintertime we wore a coat.
what kind of what were your pants made out of?
Oh, we didn't have no
No,
pants.
they had dresses.
Only we wore dresses.
What did
But
the boys have as pants?
corduroy. But I didn't have any mother, so I couldn't tell you much about the boys. But I know that some of the boys did wear corduroy.
They didn't have jeans back then, I guess.
No.
But
And the boys wore knee pants until they were 16.
then they wore the long thing.
Then they wore the long pants.
Did everyone usually, like the girls, have long hair mainly?
Yeah, all had long hair.
How many cows did you have on the
Oh,
farm?
we probably had 25 or 30.
Well,
We didn't have such a lot of cows, but a lot of our main living is potatoes.
potatoes.
Yeah.
So
We
potatoes.
raise
every
acres
night
and
you
acres of
summer.
They
potatoes.
still do.
Yeah.
Especially up in the northern part of Maine, the rustic county they call it. You go to the price chopper over there and you'll see where they come made potatoes.
Where did you get your water from?
We had a hand dug well,
And well,
dug by hand. We didn't have a machine like you do today.
yeah. Like, how far did you have to walk every morning to get the water?
Oh no, it's right on the porch.
Right on. That's nice.
But he had carried in. We didn't have any bathroom or faucets or anything.
What were the houses made out of? Brick?
No, oh yes, once in a while we had a neighbor that had a brick house. That was gorgeous. But mine was just, plain boards like we have here.
Wood frame.
Wood frame and cold.
Were the houses big or very small?
Well, mine was quite good size. But they're very old because it's been in the family for 4 generations and had a fireplace, a Dutch oven, as you call them here. Well, my great-grandmother used to do all the baking. You make it in the wall, and you had a little black door. You put your coal in there and put all your baking in there.
Was there like any, did you grow flour or make flour?
Oh, yes, we had beautiful flowers and mayflowers, and the proper name for them is trailing arbutus.
She was
you
asking
dry
about
flowers?
flour.
Oh, flour, oh.
To bake with.
Yeah.
You're baking
Oh,
flour.
yes, we used to buy it by the barrel.
But did you dry flowers a lot?
Did you dry flowers?
No.
Dried flowers.
No, they didn't do that, did they? But we did have beautiful flowers, mayflowers and
Did you
trailing
have
arbutus.
sunflowers?
And McLaughlin on my farm where I was born.
Did you have sunflowers?
No, I was talking about that to Aunt the other day, that we didn't feed the birds like you do here, and we didn't raise any sunflowers. I don't know why.
Did you make a lot of bread?
No, we made bread, we made biscuits.
Oh.
Cut them out with a cutter, round biscuits.
So like, did you take your lunch to school?
Yes, then we had a car that didn't freeze. In the wintertime, you sit on the floor.
So cold up there.
Yeah,
So, what would you make your sandwich out of?
we had a pot roast, as they call them here, and we'd have that on our biscuits on a Monday. And sometimes the rest of the week you had hard-boiled egg.
That wasn't much.
No, and biscuits. And a lot of people would take, they done their own preserving from wild. We didn't have fruit like we have here. And we'd pick the wild fruit.
And every Saturday night they had baked beans. That was
Baked
every
beans.
Saturday night. In all the New England states, not just Maine.
And brown bread.
Yeah, baked beans and brown bread.
That's like us with pizza every
That's right.
Sunday night.
Yes.
That's right.
And I'll tell you something else. 4th of July, any home that you went into, you had fresh salmon,
Every Saturday night.
new potatoes from what you'd raised, and fresh peas that you'd raised. Another thing they raise there too is the fresh peas.
So, you had like lots of peas and potatoes.
Yeah, fish too. We were near the coast and we had all kinds of fish. It was very reasonable.
Did you go walking a lot in the
Yes,
woods?
that's the only way I got in the woods too, because I'd go for the wildflower.
How far were you from the coast, Grandma Lasher?
Well, I don't, Marion, how far were we from the coast?
Down to Far Harbor.
About 50 miles.
Oh, 50 miles?
I didn't stop to think that's the ocean,
You
yes.
lived in where, Camden?
Oh, I've been there lots of times. A lot of my relatives from Canada. It's beautiful there.
Grandma lived in Carmel.
Oh, Carmel.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
10
Castine,
miles from Bangor.
yeah. But Castine is beautiful. So is Bar Harbor.
Castine is where Lily's live.
Oh, I had never been there. Marion took me there.
Did you get lots and lots of snow every winter?
I guess we did. I went to a neighbor's, Mandy, one afternoon, because our neighbors are not close.
Yeah.
Well, it did look kind of stormy. So I said to my mother, I'm going up to drinks. Well, I'd been there for a while. I didn't bother to look out the window. I was a young girl. Louilla and her husband said, I think you better go home. I says, I think so too. But he says, you can't walk home alone. The snow would go round and round. I'd lose my way. So he started out and I hung on to his arm. And when I got on top of the hill, as I said, we lived in the valley, that was my father. My mother sent him up there to bring me home because you'd get lost awful quick. It's all open fields there.
What'd you plow the fields with?
A hand plow with a horse hitched to the front of it. With a, you seen the plow? Aunt Margaret's got one on her lawn, where you take off the little wooden handle
Oh, yeah.
and push it. Well, that's what they plowed the land with by hand. My grandfather used to do that.
And they plowed all those acres?
Yep. By hand.
How long did it take to do
It took
that?
quite a while. They done that in the fall when they wasn't quite so busy.
Well,
And then some of the kids would stay out of school in September to dig potatoes.
did you ever like make wreaths out of grapevines?
Yes, my mother made the wreaths out of the Mount Laurel that was raised on my farm. She always put in wreaths on the parlor. That's what they're called. Your sitting room then was called a parlor.
Did you eat a lot of nuts?
Yes, we had beech nuts, and we had butternuts. I never saw a hickory nut like on here.
What'd you use for light?
Kerosene lamps.
Kerosene lamps.
I don't like them very well either.
Where'd you get the kerosene from?
Oh, you go to the store. It was 5 cents a gallon, and you took a little jug to get your kerosene. Because you burnt wood. The only time you wanted kerosene was to start the fire. If the fire didn't burn right, which you shouldn't be doing because it would flame up in front of you, but I done it sometimes. I could make a fire. I don't think I can do it now.
Did you have like a screen in front of the fireplace?
No, no. And in this big fireplace in the dining room was a long crane. That crane come out, and on that you hung your tea kettle. That's how you boiled your water.
Was it all like stone, the floors?
It's like I was born brought up with stoves. Yes, we had a stove in every room, but.
No, stone, the floors.
Stone. S-T-O-N-E.
Oh, stone?
Yeah, the floors.
Oh no, there was wood floors.
Wood.
Wood floors. Some had nice carpet, but we had just my mother would make bladed rugs.
But in front of the fireplace, was that wood too?
No, it was brick. The brick come out quite a ways. In case a fire come out,
yeah.
It would go on the brick, wouldn't set the wood afire. The brick come out quite a ways, but there was always somebody to watch it.
Did you ever like, how many times would you have someone come and clean your chimney?
Oh, we cleaned it ourselves, and you know how we done it? We would wait for it to rain, and we didn't have anything in the flue like we have today, and it catch fire. Where we burnt four wood stoves. And then when it was a bad day and it rained, we'd rush the stove, put a lot of wood in, till the flames would come out of the chimney and take the soot off. And sometimes it burned out when you didn't want it to. And we didn't have fire company like you got here.
Oh, back to school. What subjects did they teach in school?
Geography, history, mathematics, physiology, I don't know what you call it today.
Did they teach reading?
Yeah, oh yes, and I'll tell you something else we had, you don't have it here, is writing. Every Friday night they come out with this composition book, I guess you call them. All this fancy writing, and you're supposed to copy like that. We had an hour at noon, we had 15 minutes in the morning, about 10 o'clock, and we have 15 minets in the afternoon.
Did you carve a lot of stuff? Or your father?
No, we didn't have no coloring books.
No, carve.
Oh, no carving.
What did you drink out of then?
Well, I'll tell you, that's what I didn't like either. I took my own drinking cup, one of these kinds like you push them down and pull them up. I don't know what you call
Well,
that.
I've seen those.
Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Collapsible.
That's it.
Carry it right in the pocket.
But I'll tell you what we done, and we'd never say, a pail of water. Every school had a pump. And the boy would go out and get a pail of water and sit on the bench, no cover, and a dipper. Everybody drank out that dipper. Well, I wasn't going to drink out that dipper. So I used to take my little collapsible cup. So if I wanted water, I'd take it and go out to the well. We used to play fox and geese in the wintertime in the snow.
How do you play that?
Well, I don't know now, but all I know, we run around and...
We used to play it too.
I don't know how you play it now.
You made tracks. You made tracks in the snow.
You made a pit.
Yes, I know we did that.
And your feet.
And with your feet. And then you made a big round circle, which was a den. And you did this several places. Then somebody was the fox and somebody was the goose. And the fox would check the geese. If you got in the den, you were safe.
Yeah,
but if he caught you on out of the den, then you were the fox.
Oh.
And when we were shut up inside in a storming bed, you couldn't go out to play at noon. You'd go and play drop the handkerchief. Farm in the Dell, too, we played that. And another thing they had a lot of was spelling bees on a Friday.
Oh. Yeah, we still have that. Spelling tests. We have. What did you use for silverware? Or didn't you have that?
Oh, you had nice silverware, like they got to sterling, if you was rich. Otherwise you had just ordinary plated. It wasn't sterling, but those that was quite well to do had nice silver.